right.
Five.
3, 2, 1.
That was a weak one.
Yeah, it's the rings.
I think it
blame
was
the
because
rings.
no, it was because someone might have been upstairs. I think.
Already?
No. Yeah, no, I'm already bringing that up. Okay. Well, welcome to the Space Drill Show, the greatest show in the galaxy, I think, in my opinion, anyway. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Garvey, and with me.
Is Joshua Toe.
So, what movie did we watch?
Today we went and saw The Worst Person in the World, a Norwegian film that has been nominated for an Oscar for foreign films. And like I've said in other videos, if you guys watched, is that I think the foreign films are the best category this year. Honestly, I was super bored about the Best Picture nominations, but actually every single one of the foreign films has me really excited. So I was really excited to see this movie. What about you, Joey? What were
I
your
was
thoughts?
very excited also, and especially given this year being kind of a poor year for movies, I think you would say. And just as far as me growing as like a film consumer, it's just the idea that like America is just one country and we just don't have the best movies all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the experiencing film from different areas of the globe is always better, and this is a good example of that.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love foreign films. But so essentially, this movie just follows this character named Julie or Julia, I guess if you pronounce it that way. But so she is just struggling and living through relationships, and grows as a person, learning about herself and about other people. And that's generally the non-spoiler version of what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of um, what was that Gerwig movie?
Francis Ha.
Yeah, Francis Ha. That's right. I knew it was the name. I just forgot what it was. It gave me a lot of Ha vibes. There's some sort of eccentric or artful scenes as well that gave me a lot of La La Land vibes as well. There's a lot of romance um, in this movie.
A lot of millennial attitudes.
Yeah,
I think.
too. That as well. So, like, yeah, a romantic millennial attitude about finding yourself and finding your path and career in career and life. And I thought it was done really well. Um, Unique, even though the millennial um, type movie is pretty frequently, or I wouldn't say overdone, but done enough recently.
Isn't it funny that that's a real type now? Like we
Yeah.
watch things and we know like that's millennials. Like that's exactly how you think and act. And it's so funny because we don't have that exactly for our generation yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have an idea, but we're not 30 yet, so
Yeah.
we don't have enough money to give people that idea. But I don't think it hindered this movie. I think it was very good.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the generations that's in the middle of like
Oh yeah.
Gen Z and millennials. And so it's like almost finding an inkling of that. It's like maybe I've switched majors, or maybe I've thought about not doing something for the rest of my life anymore, even though I thought about doing that for the rest of my life earlier. It's not that I've gone to other things yet, but it's like making that mental leap and being like, oh, I might be leaping into something that I might leap from later on as well. And I think those anxieties were portrayed really well in the film. And to piggyback off of that, I think the acting in the film was spectacular. There are so many moments of raw emotion and raw communication that even though what they were saying was almost sometimes manipulative, I really felt for every character in the movie, and there are certain flaws to every character as well, but they didn't portray it in like a villain versus a hero or any type way like that. It was just real people trying to navigate their life and making mistakes along the way, I guess.
Well, and I think specifically the lead actress, for me, was way better than everyone else. I think she carried the movie in a brilliant fashion. She had The subtleties and the performance that never went over the top, but it was always impactful. Um, I liked her performance a lot more than any of the guys,
Uh-huh.
any of her boyfriends she met. They didn't have as good of roles,
Yeah.
so I don't blame the actors. Just like they're just less important characters. So
Hmm.
obviously the focal point comes to her, and she nailed it. So I think her performance really sticks out to me and is going to be one I remember more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen most of the best actress nominations for lead actress, but I from the ones I've seen this year, I would think that she deserves some accolade. Maybe not completely nominated or winning, but definitely some accolade for that.
The Oscars will never nominate a foreign person twice in a row.
Yeah.
They'll
Am
never.
I-
They nominated one last year, I think, or I don't even know
Was
if
it?
they did last year.
I don't
Did
know.
they?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it was supporting, right? Or are you talking about Minari?
No, I wasn't, but I guess they did
Support.
kind of.
Yeah,
not-
even though Minari is kind of an American
yeah,
film still.
Minari's totally an American
Yeah.
film, really. So
yeah.
I was thinking like 2 years ago with Parasite, but they didn't even
Uh.
nominate. They nominated Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, but the Oscars already love. They love Pedro Almodovar's films, which is why Penelope Cruz might have gotten nominated. But
Mm.
anyway, this is like whatever.
It's
You know,
more than I know about the Oscar nominations.
well, either way, it's enough to know that they suck.
Yeah.
They're not going to nominate a foreign film, but she totally gives a great performance. And I think one other thing about the movie is, it's a comedy and it's
Mm.
hilarious. I think there's a lot of great parts of the humor that I personally connect to a lot, where just like little subtle things like observational humor. Like, for example, it's not a big spoiler, so plug your ears, but it's just one tiny scene, okay? It's she gets a jacket for her birthday, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, this is great." And then her stepsister comes in, like 30 seconds later with the same jacket, and like it's never like mentioned. I feel like in American comedy, someone would actually bring up the jacket, but I think the fact that they never bring it up so many times, the comedy is never brought up. It's just situational, and they never break, and that's just what I loved about it.
Yeah. Even like maybe not brought up, but there would be some type of camera signaling of like a two, maybe like a closer shot of the stepsister and then like a closer shot of the jacket or something like that in American
Oh, yeah.
films. But it didn't do that either. It honestly made that scene almost melancholic. Like you laugh and then you kind of like get introspective about it, because instead of anyone mentioning it in the film or drawing attention to it with any camera or anything like that, you eventually just watch the main actress's reaction to it. And although it's funny for us, it's not really funny for her, you know?
Well,
And
isn't
so-
that the main theme of
yeah.
this movie?
Yeah.
There's so many consistent scenarios where that happens. It's like you laugh and then you're like, oh, and
Yeah,
then you
that's
laugh
not
and you're
good.
like, oh.
Yeah, and that was by far the best part of the movie, I think. I want to say that there might be some disagreements with us if we brought up, let's say, music or the artsy scenes. Or what did you think about the cinematography? Because I know you're talking about the color palette a little bit earlier.
I didn't hate the color palette. I just wish I liked it more. There was
Mhm.
something in the opening credits. They used like the 3 primary colors, and I was like, oh, awesome. Like another movie that's going to use color in such an inventive and
Right,
exciting
right.
way. That's kind of been
Mhm.
the theme, this year with something like Blue Bayou, Zola. I've just been watching and thinking about movies recently that use color very well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And this movie is just like Oslo, and that's fine. It's just cloudy out. It's just like kind of gray, and I understand that. Like Dallas is very cloudy, but
Mhm.
I don't like the way it looks. I just don't like Oslo, I guess.
Just gloomy.
gloomy. It's good, and it's good, but I don't think it does anything that breaks the mold.
Yeah, I would actually kind of agree. I want to say that they could have utilized color more, but I liked the way that things were framed and shot a lot. For example, the close-ups that are really like they make the lights circular, like they outfocus it, that kind of thing. I forget how it's called, and make the
I
foreground,
don't know the name.
yeah, really, really clear. And I know that's not like revolutionary or anything like that, but I kind of like that ethereal, fairy tale type meeting, especially during the nights where, well, characters meet, I guess.
Yeah, this is a non-spoiler review, we guess.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that for a second. I was gonna bring up another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the color, but there are also some really quick paced cuts sometimes that mimic, for example, another tiny spoiler is when a character's drumming and it was moving while he was drumming, and I really liked that. It added an electricity in the scene.
Yeah.
That it honestly kind of never falls underpaced for me, just because it would intercut with these art scenes or these like electric camera movements. So it is a very realistic film dealing with a realistic person who doesn't like make grandiose gestures or anything like that, but it keeps it exciting in multiple ways, and one of that is the camera work. So agree on the color, love the cinematography though.
Yeah, and also there's like the culture to take in mind as well. I think with a lot of not just Norwegian films, but I kind of loop Scandinavia as like a very similar film industry. I'm sorry, guys, you do have a similar film industry.
Norwegian, yeah.
As far as like,
Denmark or
every year, America likes some film from Scandinavia. Last year it was Another Round. The year a couple years ago it was like Force Majeure, the Swedish movie. So every country, they get their movie every year. It's just in a rotation. But anyway, something that I learned from that, from learning the movie of the year, is that oftentimes Scandinavians are not as bolsterous or so overt with their emotions. They're often they're very subtle. And that's not good or bad. That's just, well, I guess it is good because that's true to who they are. So I do appreciate that. I do like that. I think it works better in some cases than others, but I do appreciate that.
And so that, bringing up the soundtrack, I really like the soundtrack. I felt like,
Oh, no.
I love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It, may have been goofy a little bit sometimes, but I felt that it was one of the first examples, or not maybe first, but one of the few examples of like listening to pop or like popular music from like another country, and that being used like in the film to add like I said before, like electric, bringing up maybe like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World or like Baby Driver. There's a lot of times where directors use American pop music or old classics or something like that to add a lot of electricity in their films. And even though, I'm taking a guess on it being popular music from Norway, but it felt like that. It was very like upbeat. It had like the tones and type of music that someone like the director of Baby Driver, Edgar Wright, would have used or something like that, And it wasn't like a Baby Driver movie where every little click is like moved or anything like that. It was used sparingly, but I was very interested in that. And there are also times of ethereal music and times where there is more like jamming music. And I could see how someone might be like, there's not consistency, but I thought every soundtrack like just matched with the scene that it was in, I guess.
I never noticed it too much. So I actually, when I say I don't like things, we said at the beginning we both really like this movie, right?
Yeah.
We did say that. I really like this movie, if I didn't say it before. So anything I have negative about it is just like, it's probably like, it's good, it's not great, it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in this movie I think is bad.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack, I didn't think about it much except for one scene, which I don't really want to explain because then that's just another scene we're explaining. But it got a little cheesy for me. It was a romantic scene, and it kind of distorts the reality a little bit. I know we wanted to talk about that scene anyway, so without saying too much, it almost felt like an Apple commercial. It felt like it felt commercial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, do you want to do like maybe this last snippet, maybe a little bit of spoilers type thing? We could do like
Low key, halfway through, I was like, I don't know why we're not doing spoiler talk.
True. Okay. Last 5 minutes. This is gonna be spoiler talk.
Yeah. All right. Spoilers now.
If you don't want to listen, then you stop the video right here, and our watch time just goes down. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
from 2 to 1.
All right. But yeah. Okay. What was the scene you were talking about?
So the scene is it's around 2/3 of the way through the movie, and she is breaking up with her first, not her first boyfriend, but her first narrative boyfriend for the narrative's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And she is approaching this new guy, and she has like this kind of whimsical kind of offer feet. And I know it was satirical, like it's a comedy. It's kind of making fun of things like that. But I don't feel like it did it enough or creatively enough for me to feel like it added to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you were gonna do it like that, I wish you just did it faster and easier. I didn't need to spend the whole scene.
And you're talking about the frozen time scene, right?
The frozen in time scene. Yes. Yeah, that's a way easier way to explain it. I don't know why I didn't do that.
I was just making sure we're on the right page.
Yeah.
Talking.
Of course.
I could agree with you in the creativity sense. I think though that if we hadn't seen it in La La Land before, it might feel like a little bit more creative. And then the two things you were talking about was the length of it, and I can agree with that as well. I felt like it went on maybe a little too long, but I kind of disagree about the whimsical nature of it. I feel like for a relationship that, we invest in really heavily, like La La Land, those types of Hollywoodified, musicalified scenes where they proclaim love and like get really like jokey and flirty with each other, like worked out there. And for me, it kind of worked out here too, because even though we didn't have as much time to spend with these characters, we were able to be put into the mind of the main character, especially with the narration that accompanies her occasionally. I could totally see that uber romanticized portion of the film working in that particular spot.
Yeah, no, I understand why they did it, because I can imagine her thinking that way. I can imagine me thinking that way. I can imagine anyone thinking that way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I don't know. It's hard to explain fully into words. It just didn't fully get me.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. It just didn't fully get me.
I
I'm sorry.
getcha.
We
No.
just came out the theater. Like
I get you.
I can't really explain this. Maybe I'll go to bed at night, but honestly, I don't care enough to think about it.
It's maybe not something like logical or intellectual. It's just like, sometimes scenes hit other person's different than how it hits me. So
actually, I just came up with the words. So
okay, never mind.
It takes me a second. It just takes me a second. And so I think what it is the entire film had a certain tone, and it just felt like it's very much like it. The film stops and this scene happens, and then the film starts again.
Okay.
That's what it was. I was like, the tone just like shifted for this one scene, and like, I think there's a lot of cases in this movie. Not a lot of cases. God damn it. I'm always coming back on my words, but
no worries.
But a lot of things make narrative sense, and then I just don't feel like they're executed at the level that I want them to be.
Okay.
But that's not entirely true. Like, it's not like it's bad. It's not
Yeah.
bad. This movie's great. I love the humor. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like my perspective on our differing views would just kind of just be summed up with the fact that maybe I thought it was a little less comedic in the sense of like satirical, but more just like the humor of life, you know, of living, I guess, rather than like things were meant to be really funny or really like subversively funny, you know. And I
You don't think so? All right. Well, we're on spoiler mode. At the end, though, like, you didn't think that was just like
what do you mean?
fucking hilarious when she had a miscarriage after the
Oh.
guy died?
No, honestly, I thought it was a little bit symbolical or
It
symbolic.
was
Yeah.
totally.
So, well,
But
I guess I was more
also,
focused
like,
on that than the
But that's
hilarity
such
aspect.
hilarious symbolism. That's like such gruesome symbolism.
No,
Eh,
she was happy. I was happy for her.
Well, that's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. It's just like a hilarious kind of turn of events.
Yeah.
You don't very often see someone be so happy about a miscarriage.
Yeah.
That's not a very common thing.
That's true. I guess it's just the characters just felt too real to me that the humor, although it is kind of like satirical, it's just I don't know. I just laugh at it in a way that's just about like wow how humorous life is, you know, because those things happen in real life. It's just whenever we cut from scene to scene, that's where the injected humor is. But I think in perspective of one's own life, you can like almost imagine that being like a cut in your life, you know, because it kind of meant that she was free of him in that sense, you know.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think I'm floating the word satirical a little too loosely. I
Yeah, no
agree with
worries.
you actually.
But those are why the things kind of worked some ways a little better than others for me.
Well, I fucking love the humor. That's easily the part I will think about
Mhm.
the most, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna take from this movie is the way they approached comedy.
Honestly, I was not expecting it to be really funny at all. I was expecting a serious drama. So the fact that and the music caught me so off guard, those are what I'll remember too.
Well, and they took it so seriously that someone could watch this and you don't tell them it's a comedy, and they could watch it purely as a drama. And
Yeah.
I really firmly believe that the people in front of us did that because they didn't laugh once, and I feel like they should have.
Yeah, we're the
It was like sorry.
no, just
So,
imagine
yeah.
not being the only people in the theater, but the only people laughing. That's how we felt like.
Yeah, I was like laughing, like I wanted to laugh so hard at certain scenes,
Yeah.
and then like,
But everyone was so silent.
yeah, the couple in front of us just wasn't.
Wasn't feeling it. Well, I hope they got something from that movie because it definitely is worth it, even if you don't take the funny moments.
I'd love to watch that with a significant other. I think that'd be a great movie to watch.
Oh yeah, it's up there.
That's a great date movie. You should
Mhm.
take a date to the worst person in the world.
Especially if they don't want to have children.
Really, I mean, it'll let them realize that it'll affirm their thoughts.
Yeah, we're in the spoiler category. We're all right.
Yeah, well,
But
I mean,
yeah, I think the last thing I want to say is just, in my opinion, if a short explanation of the film was, I thought it was a great exploration on the let's say social villainization of a woman who doesn't want to have kids and dealing with that in yourself if you are that person, which the main character is, and learning about yourself and others at the same time while you navigate learning about yourself, I guess.
yeah, and it's not a very common story,
Mhm.
which is a shame. And then it's also what makes this movie so good and
Yeah,
relevant.
yeah.
Because they're telling stories that we don't hear a lot.
Mhm.
So I totally agree, and I think we both think very highly of this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Sum it
sneak
all
peek
up.
maybe it could be number 5, moved up to number 5, maybe first number first
Whole new
first honorable mention.
whole new video.
Yes,
we
you
gotta
gotta start
replace
from the
it.
bottom. Another hour.
Yeah, we're
We'll
not
talk.
even gonna wait for Drive My Car. We'll just do a separate video after that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's in our top 5, please. But yeah, that's all my thoughts.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Yeah.